How are we doing out there, okay? Anybody need to wiggle their butt? Okay, all right. I'm curious how many people out there can finish this statement. Those who can do, those who can't teach. Ah, yes, yes. And how many teachers or recovering teachers do we have out there? Yeah, I know I'd be in good company here. I have thought about that many a time. Why do I teach? And probably because I am a teacher, I realized I'd better come up with an answer. And because I teach public speaking, of course, it would have structure to it. And so there are 3 reasons why I teach. I teach because I have had the coolest, the classiest, and the creepiest teacher. Oh yeah. Mrs. Berg. Mrs. Verona Berg. Do you remember when you were a student and you found out the first name of your teacher? I mean, maybe things have changed, but that was a mystery back when I was in school. And when you found it out, it was like a secret, and you whispered it in the hallways. And of course, you would never use it. And listen to that first name, Verona. Is that like the coolest name? Mrs. Berg was the English/language arts/speech/foreign language/teacher. And of course, she directed the school play, she did the yearbook, she did the newspaper, etc. And I wanted to be her. She was so cool. Mrs. Berg was the first to teach me, to show me how exquisite a teachable moment could be. Once in class, Todd Willis, the football farm boy, he let the F word fly. And Mrs. Berg, she didn't lose her cool at all. I mean, she immediately launched into this lecture on the origins of the word. And as I recall, I do believe it has Germanic origins, and it has something to do with being hit by a blunt object. And then she promptly sent Todd Willis to the principal's office. Mrs. Berg was my angel. She was my savior. I was kind of a geeky farm girl, and in 7th grade, I decided I would go out for the speech team. That wasn't that big of a deal in a small school. I mean, anyone who expressed any interest got on the speech team. But she was so cool. When she would coach me, she always just had the most wonderful advice and just gentle remarks. And she made sure that I had the appropriate category, humorous. But she also made sure that I would have a selection of literary quality. Not one of these, comedic dialogues, monologues that, were poorly written. Oh, no. I remember once, after a coaching session, she gently took me aside and she said, "Mary, do you think perhaps we could visit with your mother and see if she might allow you to wear just a little makeup? Just maybe some mascara, an eyebrow pencil for your brows. Mary, you have such lovely facial expressions, but we can't see them." What every pasty-faced Norwegian girl needs to do. I got to go home that day and say to my mom, who did not allow me to wear makeup at that point, "But Mom, it's for the competition. Mrs. Berg said so." When you're a senior, probably around this time of year, remember how in high school they made you fill out the senior profiles? And you would have to identify your future plans. I'm pretty sure mine probably said, well, I was going to be an education major, of course, I was going to be Mrs. Berg. But I do believe I said I was going to go to Iowa State. Well, that was half the truth. I was a little too scared to go to Iowa State. I mean, that's a big school. I mean, I wanted to be Mrs. Berg, but it kind of intimidated me to go to a big university. So I went to my local community college. Because I felt like I kind of already knew somebody there. Ms. Colleen Thompson. She was my first Ms. She was so classy. She had been my favorite judge all my years of the speech competition. She always wrote the most supportive comments to me. So going to school there, I felt like I already knew somebody. I wasn't scared. And I didn't just get to take one class from Ms. Thompson, I got to take 2 classes. When she walked into a room, pure class, always heels, always a pencil skirt, perfect makeup, and a pasty-faced girl appreciates that. And with iridescent blush, I always wondered where she got it. And she had the warmest voice, but so commanding. I remember when I had completed one of the projects in class, she took me aside and she said, "Mary, you really should consider a career in communication studies." And I smiled and I nodded, "Oh yes, I definitely would." I had no idea what she was talking about. I mean, I was going to be Mrs. Berg. I was going to be the English / language arts / speech / communication studies. But because Miss Thompson had selected, I'd check it out. Transferred to the 4-year school, and of course, was an education major. But I decided I'd check out more of these communication studies classes. One of them was taught by the creepiest professor on campus. Oh yeah. If you saw him, if you encountered him on campus, you would cross to the other side. You would. He was this troll of a man with a hunchback and a pocked-up face and a big bulbous nose. Dr. Ferguson. But he was the only teacher for interpersonal communication. And I wanted to take that class. He was a recovering alcoholic, a recovering rageaholic, a recovering addict, and a recovering Vietnam vet. And it showed. It showed all over. But, like many of his students, we discovered that underneath that creepy exterior was the most beautiful soul. And probably made even more beautiful just because of all of life that had happened to him. I mean, in that classroom, no matter what was on the syllabus or what was on the schedule, if something had happened in our community, if something happened on campus, if it happened in the world, that's what we discussed. That's what Dr. Ferguson would pull us in and we'd have these lively discussions, and it was always, what went wrong here? What was the communication breakdown? That's what it always got to, communication. What went wrong? We got to study love. Does that make sense for college students to study love in the academic classroom? And he also gave us the most incredible assignment that I still give to my students today. We were to research, to study, think about what was the greatest thing in our life that impacted our communication, and we were to study that. But it was to be a personal research paper. Yes, academic research, but we could use personal pronouns. We could state our personal opinion. We could tell our story. Dr. Ferguson gave me an opportunity to finally use research I've been doing all my life. To finally put to work everything that I had been reading ever since I could read. Why? Had there been abuse in my family? Not long after I turned in that paper, Dr. Ferguson caught me after class, and he said, "Schmidt, I'd like you to stop in during my office hour tomorrow." Even though I got to see the gentler side of this man, it still scared the hell out of me. Yeah, I was pretty nervous walking down that hallway the next day to go see the creepy guy. But when I was in his office, he just looked at me and he said, "Schmidt, just wanted to tell you, proud of you. Seem to be doing okay. Wanted to let you know if If ever you want to talk to anybody about it, let me know. I know people. I teach because I have had the coolest, the classiest, the creepiest teachers. And I figure it's my one small way to honor them. And I also teach for one student. One student. Just that one student who might be a little geeky, and one student who might be a little scared, a little intimidated. I teach hoping to reach just one student. That's all it takes sometimes. Because I've been that one student. And Mrs. Bird and Miss Thompson and Dr. Ferguson reached out to me. And for that and for them, I will forever be grateful.